Imagine a vast island, covered in snow and ice, seemingly lifeless, yet hiding immense natural treasures and the focus of global strategic interest. This is Greenland, a frozen land with the power to influence the future of the world. From rare minerals and energy resources to emerging shipping routes, from military bases to climate change, everything here is connected to global security, economy, and technology. In this video, we will dive into the heart of the island, uncover its secrets, and understand why major powers are so interested in it. We'll explore why Greenland could become a cornerstone of global politics, economy, and environmental strategy. Get ready for a journey across ice and power, wealth and technology, local independence and international ambitions. Located at the crossroads of three continents, Greenland stands as a silent icy giant in the far north. Its vast expanse stretches like a white canvas, covered in snow for most of the year. At first glance, it may seem like a forgotten land at the edge of the world. But the reality is very different. This island is not merely accumulated ice. It is a unique geopolitical vantage point overlooking the globe from above. Whoever controls it places a foot on the roof of the world. For that reason, it has never truly been outside the calculations of major powers. Despite its enormous size, Greenland's population is remarkably small, making it appear like a vast empty territory. Yet that apparent emptiness gives it amplified strategic value. Imagine an island the size of a small continent, positioned between North America and Europe, overlooking emerging Arctic sea routes that are gaining importance due to climate change. In a world driven by interests rather than population density, empty land can become treasure for those who know how to use it. And here, Greenland's real story begins. Paragraph 3. Historically, Greenland is politically linked to Denmark, functioning as a self-governing territory within the Danish kingdom. While it manages most of its domestic affairs, defense and foreign policy remain under Copenhagen's authority. This arrangement has created a delicate balance between local autonomy and international strategic interests. Being under the umbrella of a relatively small European state has provided stability, but it has also drawn the attention of global powers that see in Greenland an irreplaceable strategic opportunity. Harsh climate conditions have not prevented global powers from eyeing Greenland with ambition. Beneath its thick ice sheet lie enormous natural resources. As global temperatures rise and the ice gradually melts, those hidden resources are beginning to reveal themselves. What was once nearly impossible to access is now entering serious discussion. Climate change is not only reshaping nature, it is redrawing maps of influence, placing Greenland at the center of a new geopolitical equation. A look at the map shows Greenland overlooking a significant portion of the Arctic Ocean, a region expected to become a stage for international competition in the coming decades. Newly opened maritime passages could shorten trade routes between Asia, Europe, and North America. Whoever influences these routes gains powerful economic leverage. Greenland is no longer just a distant northern territory, it is becoming a future center of gravity in global commerce. Beyond politics, Greenland carries a unique cultural identity. The Inuit people have lived there for centuries, deeply connected to the sea, ice, and traditional hunting practices. This human dimension adds complexity to any discussion of control, purchase, or annexation. Every geopolitical ambition touches the lives of a community with its own history and heritage. Can such a land be reduced to a political transaction? Or do strategic calculations override cultural realities? Growing international interest in the Arctic has turned Greenland into a key piece on a global chessboard. Major powers do not only focus on the present, they anticipate the future. With continued ice melt expected, the island could transform into a commercial and military gateway. The question then becomes, who will hold the upper hand? And can any single nation dominate such a sensitive region? American interest in Greenland is not new. For decades, the United States has recognized the island's strategic significance. The idea did not suddenly emerge in modern politics. It dates back to earlier periods when American policymakers understood that control of the North meant protection of the homeland. Administrations have changed, but the strategic logic has remained quietly present. In today's globalized world, borders are more than lines on a map. Control means economic, military, and technological influence. Greenland offers a rare combination of all three. It is close to North America, connected to Europe, and positioned toward Asia through the Arctic. This tricontinental dynamic makes it a strategic crossroads and a valuable asset for any global power seeking expanded influence. The United States is geographically the closest superpower to Greenland, giving it a natural strategic interest in the island. From a security perspective, Greenland represents a first line of defense against potential northern threats. In the age of intercontinental ballistic missiles, the Arctic is the shortest route between nuclear powers. A presence there provides early warning capabilities and strengthens homeland defense. During the Cold War, Washington recognized Greenland's importance and established military installations on the island. One of the most notable is Thule Air Base, now known as Patuxent Space Base, which serves as a strategic monitoring hub. It plays a critical role in missile defense systems and space surveillance. This base is not merely a military facility, it is an eye watching the northern skies. Beyond military considerations, there is a major economic dimension. Studies suggest that rare earth minerals lie beneath Greenland's ice. These materials are essential for modern technology, from smartphones to renewable energy systems. In a global race for strategic resources, securing reliable sources close to home enhances supply chain independence and national security. American interest gained global media attention when former President Donald Trump publicly floated the idea of purchasing Greenland. Although the proposal was met with surprise and rejection, it revealed deeper strategic thinking. The idea was less about a sudden impulse and more about long-term geopolitical calculations. Under President Joe Biden, the tone shifted but the interest remained. Instead of discussing purchase, the focus moved toward cooperation and investment. This reflects a broader understanding that influence does not always require ownership, it can also be built through partnerships and sustained engagement. Competition with China has added another layer. Beijing has shown interest in infrastructure and mining projects in Greenland. This raised concerns in Washington about potential strategic penetration into a sensitive Arctic region. As a result, American engagement became part of a broader global rivalry. Russia's expanding military presence in the Arctic also plays a role. Moscow has strengthened its northern infrastructure and capabilities, prompting Washington to reassess its own Arctic posture. Greenland sits at the heart of this emerging balance of power in the north. Economically, new Arctic shipping lanes could reduce reliance on traditional routes such as the Suez Canal. This presents both opportunities and strategic calculations for the United States. Having influence in Greenland means having a voice in shaping the rules of these emerging maritime corridors. Climate change is accelerating these transformations. As ice melts, new opportunities and challenges arise. The United States understands that delayed action could mean diminished influence later. Establishing presence and partnerships now is seen as an investment in the geopolitical future. Beneath Greenland's vast white ice sheet lies an entirely different world. It is not merely layers of ancient frozen water, but a massive storehouse of untapped natural wealth. With every meter of melting ice, new geological possibilities emerge. What once seemed inaccessible is now entering serious discussion. Greenland is increasingly viewed not as an isolated Arctic landmass, but as a modern treasure map. The question is no longer whether resources exist, it is who will gain access to them first. Numerous studies suggest significant oil and natural gas reserves off Greenland's coasts, particularly in northern and eastern offshore regions. While extraction remains limited due to harsh environmental conditions, advancing technology could shift that reality. In a world where energy security drives national policy, new reserves carry enormous strategic weight. Access to such resources would not only boost economic prospects but also reshape geopolitical calculations. Beyond fossil fuels, Greenland holds valuable deposits of rare earth minerals such as neodymium and dysprosium, elements essential for advanced electronics and green technologies. These minerals are fundamental to manufacturing electric vehicles, wind turbines, military systems, and high-performance magnets. Nations that secure reliable supplies gain a competitive edge in technological innovation. As demand for clean energy and digital infrastructure grows, so does the strategic importance of Greenland's mineral wealth. International interest has not been limited to Western powers. China has expressed strong interest in investing in mining projects in Greenland, sparking debate about long-term influence. Economic engagement can evolve into geopolitical presence. This possibility has prompted other nations to pay closer attention, wary of allowing any single power to dominate access to Arctic resources. However, extracting these resources is far from simple. Infrastructure is limited, weather conditions are extreme, and the Arctic ecosystem is fragile. Large-scale industrial activity carries environmental risks that could disrupt delicate natural balances. Greenland therefore represents a crossroads between economic ambition and environmental responsibility. Decisions made today could shape not only political futures but ecological ones as well. As climate change accelerates ice melt, previously inaccessible regions become open for exploration. Yet this transformation is double-edged. Greater access means greater opportunity, but also heightened environmental vulnerability. Greenland stands as a symbol of this global contradiction. The very process that reveals its riches also threatens planetary stability. For the United States and other industrial powers, securing access to these minerals strengthens supply chain independence. In an era marked by trade tensions and geopolitical uncertainty, domestic or allied resource availability becomes a strategic priority. Greenland's wealth therefore intersects directly with national security calculations. Denmark faces a delicate balancing act. While it retains responsibility for defense and foreign policy, Greenland enjoys significant self-rule. Major resource deals could influence internal political dynamics and even reignite discussions about full independence. Natural wealth, in this sense, becomes a political catalyst as much as an economic opportunity. For Greenlanders themselves, resource development represents a pathway toward greater economic autonomy. Reduced financial dependence on Denmark could strengthen aspirations for increased sovereignty. Yet many also fear that rapid development may bring external pressure and environmental consequences. Prosperity and risk arrive together. The Arctic is no longer just a blank white space on a classroom map. Today, it is emerging as one of the most strategically contested regions in the world. As ice retreats due to climate change, new maritime routes open and unprecedented economic opportunities arise. What was once remote and inaccessible is now becoming central to global strategy. At the heart of this transformation stands Greenland, a key player in a rapidly evolving geopolitical theater. Russia has been the most militarily active power in the Arctic. Moscow has reopened Soviet-era bases, built new infrastructure, and expanded its Arctic naval capabilities. These moves send a clear signal. The Kremlin views the Arctic as a vital extension of its national security and future influence. By strengthening its northern presence, Russia aims to secure both military advantage and economic opportunity in the region. In response, the United States has updated its Arctic strategy and intensified cooperation with its regional allies. Rapid environmental changes require modern defense systems, advanced surveillance, and strategic coordination. Greenland's location makes it a crucial anchor point in this evolving northern framework. Maintaining influence there helps ensure balance in a region that could shape future global stability. Canada also considers itself a key Arctic nation. With vast northern territories, Ottawa has direct stakes in how the region develops economically and militarily. Its geographic proximity means that any shift in Arctic dynamics affects Canadian sovereignty and trade interests. As a result, Arctic cooperation and competition has become a defining element of Canada's long-term strategy. Even China, despite its geographic distance, has declared itself a near-Arctic state. Beijing has sought observer status in Arctic institutions and expressed interest in participating in regional infrastructure and shipping projects. This expanding global attention reflects a growing recognition. The Arctic is no longer peripheral, it is central to future trade, energy, and strategic planning. New Arctic shipping routes could dramatically shorten travel distances between Asia and Europe. Reduced transit times translate into lower costs and greater efficiency for global trade. However, opening these corridors requires ports, search and rescue capabilities, monitoring systems, and security guarantees. Greenland's geographic position makes it a natural logistical hub within this emerging network. The competition is not only military, it is also legal. Arctic nations are racing to submit territorial claims and extend their continental shelves under international law. These legal battles will determine who has the right to exploit seabed resources. As claims overlap, diplomatic tensions rise, adding another layer of complexity to Arctic geopolitics. Environmental concerns remain central to every discussion. The Arctic ecosystem is uniquely fragile, and any large-scale industrial or military escalation could trigger irreversible damage. Governments therefore face a delicate balancing act, pursuing strategic and economic interests while preserving one of the planet's most sensitive environments. Greenland, positioned between North America and Europe, sits at the intersection of these overlapping ambitions. Any power that strengthens its foothold there gains significant leverage over Arctic developments. Discussions about influence, partnership, or control cannot be separated from this broader strategic landscape. While global powers calculate strategy and resources, Greenland itself stands at a historic crossroads. Beyond military bases and mineral wealth lies a deeper question: what future do Greenlanders want for their island? The debate is not only about foreign interest, but about identity, sovereignty, and self-determination. As global attention intensifies, so does the internal conversation about independence. For many residents, the Arctic spotlight is both an opportunity and a test of political maturity. Greenland operates under a self-rule agreement within the Kingdom of Denmark, granting it significant authority over domestic matters. Education, health, fisheries, and natural resource management fall largely under local control. However, defense and foreign affairs remain under Copenhagen's authority. This division creates a delicate balance: autonomy without full sovereignty. As geopolitical interest grows, that balance becomes more complicated. The idea of full independence has long existed in Greenlandic politics. Supporters argue that control over natural resources could provide the economic foundation for a sovereign state. If mining and energy projects succeed, Greenland could reduce its financial reliance on Denmark. Independence, once seen as distant, now appears more economically plausible than ever before. However, independence carries risks. Greenland's population is small, infrastructure is limited, and the economy relies heavily on fishing exports and Danish subsidies. Transitioning to full statehood would require building robust institutions, diversifying revenue streams, and managing complex international relationships. Sovereignty is not only a political declaration, it is an administrative and economic responsibility. Foreign investment adds another layer of complexity. When global powers express interest in mining, infrastructure, or defense cooperation, Greenlandic leaders must weigh economic opportunity against political influence. Accepting large-scale investment may accelerate development, but it could also create dependency. The question becomes, how can Greenland attract growth without compromising autonomy? Public opinion within Greenland reflects a mix of ambition and caution. Many citizens value closer international engagement, yet remain protective of their cultural heritage and environmental stability. Rapid industrialization could disrupt traditional lifestyles rooted in fishing and Arctic traditions. Political decisions must therefore balance modernization with preservation. Denmark's role remains pivotal. Copenhagen provides substantial annual financial support to Greenland's economy. This subsidy stabilizes public services and infrastructure. Any move toward independence would require replacing that funding through domestic revenue. Resource extraction is often presented as the key, but global commodity markets can be unpredictable. The United States and other powers understand this internal debate. Strategic partnerships, infrastructure investments, and diplomatic outreach are often framed as support for development rather than control. Yet in geopolitics, influence rarely comes without expectations. Greenland's leaders must navigate these relationships carefully to avoid being drawn into great power rivalry. Climate change intensifies the urgency of political decisions. As the Arctic transforms, new opportunities emerge, but they may not last indefinitely. Shipping routes, tourism, research stations, and mining projects could redefine the island's economy. The window for shaping its future is open now, and the choices made in this decade may echo for generations. As the Arctic transforms, military planners are watching closely. What was once protected by thick, impenetrable ice is gradually becoming navigable water. This shift changes strategic calculations in profound ways. The Arctic is no longer a frozen barrier, it is a potential corridor. For global powers, that means rethinking defense systems, surveillance networks, and rapid response capabilities. Greenland, positioned at the gateway between North America and Europe, naturally becomes central to this evolving security architecture. During the Cold War, the Arctic represented the shortest flight path between the United States and the Soviet Union. That geographic reality has not changed. Ballistic missiles and long-range bombers would still pass over polar routes in the event of major conflict. Because of this, early warning radar systems in Greenland remain critical components of North American defense planning. Geography, in this case, is destiny. Modern warfare adds new dimensions to Arctic security. It is no longer only about missiles and aircraft, but also satellites, cyber systems, and space monitoring. Installations in Greenland contribute to space surveillance and missile detection networks. In a world where threats can originate from land, sea, air, or orbit, Arctic facilities offer strategic depth and advanced detection capabilities. Naval power is also becoming increasingly relevant. As sea ice retreats, more vessels, commercial and military, can operate in Arctic waters. This increases the need for patrols, maritime domain awareness, and search and rescue readiness. Countries with Arctic coastlines are expanding their icebreaker fleets and upgrading naval infrastructure. Control of northern sea lanes may become as strategically important as control of traditional choke points. Russia has significantly expanded its Arctic military footprint, modernizing bases and deploying advanced missile systems in its northern territories. These moves signal a clear intention to dominate its Arctic zone and protect emerging shipping routes along its coastline. The presence of advanced weapon systems changes the regional balance and encourages other nations to strengthen their own capabilities. The United States, alongside its NATO allies, has responded by increasing Arctic exercises and updating strategic doctrines. Joint military drills in cold weather environments demonstrate readiness and interoperability. Greenland's geographic location makes it an essential staging point for monitoring activity across the North Atlantic and Arctic Ocean. It acts as both shield and sensor in a complex defense network. At the same time, Arctic militarization raises concerns about escalation. Increased deployments, exercises, and surveillance can lead to miscalculations. The harsh and remote environment complicates communication and crisis management. In such a fragile region, even minor incidents could carry outsized consequences. Stability therefore depends not only on strength, but also on diplomacy and transparency. Emerging technologies will further reshape Arctic security. Autonomous submarines, drone surveillance systems, and next-generation satellites may soon operate routinely in polar conditions. Artificial intelligence could enhance early warning systems and maritime tracking. Greenland's strategic infrastructure may play a role in supporting these advanced technologies, reinforcing its importance in long-term defense planning. Climate change acts as both catalyst and risk multiplier. As access improves, competition increases. More traffic means more potential friction. Nations must prepare not only for military scenarios, but also humanitarian missions, disaster response, and environmental emergencies. Arctic security is therefore broader than traditional warfare. It includes resilience and crisis management. If there is one force transforming Greenland faster than politics or military strategy, it is climate change. Rising global temperatures are melting vast portions of the island's ice sheet at an accelerating pace. What once seemed permanent and immovable is now shifting year after year. This transformation is not only environmental, it is geopolitical. As the ice retreats, access expands. And with access comes opportunity, competition, and strategic recalculation. Greenland's ice sheet is one of the largest in the world, containing enough frozen water to significantly raise global sea levels if fully melted. Scientists monitor it closely, not only for environmental reasons but for its global impact. The melting ice contributes to rising oceans, affecting coastal cities thousands of miles away. In this sense, Greenland is not isolated, it is deeply connected to the fate of the entire planet. But climate change is creating a paradox. While melting ice threatens ecosystems and global stability, it also opens shipping lanes and reveals untapped resources. New maritime routes across the Arctic could shorten trade journeys between Asia, Europe, and North America. This dual reality, risk and opportunity intertwined, places Greenland at the center of one of the most complex global dilemmas of our time. The environmental consequences are already visible. Glaciers are retreating, permafrost is thawing, and traditional wildlife patterns are shifting. Indigenous communities that rely on stable ice conditions for hunting and travel face increasing uncertainty. Climate change is not an abstract future threat here, it is a lived reality reshaping daily life. For global powers, however, environmental transformation also carries strategic implications. As Arctic waters remain ice-free for longer periods each year, naval operations and commercial shipping become more viable. Accessibility changes defense calculations and economic forecasts. Climate science, once confined to research institutions, now influences military and economic planning. Energy markets are also affected. As the world transitions toward renewable energy, demand for critical minerals, many of which are found in Greenland, continues to grow. Climate policy and resource competition are now deeply connected. The same global shift aimed at reducing carbon emissions increases the strategic value of Arctic minerals used in clean technologies. Yet increased industrial activity in a fragile Arctic environment could accelerate ecological damage. Oil spills, mining waste, or shipping accidents would be particularly difficult to contain in icy waters. The region's extreme weather and remoteness complicate emergency response efforts. The pursuit of opportunity therefore carries significant environmental responsibility. Greenland itself faces a delicate balancing act. On one hand, climate change threatens traditional ways of life and contributes to coastal erosion. On the other, it may provide economic openings through tourism, mining, and expanded fisheries. The island stands on the front line of global warming, experiencing both its dangers and its unexpected economic prospects. International climate agreements and Arctic governance frameworks attempt to manage these transformations responsibly. Cooperation in scientific research, environmental monitoring, and sustainable development has become increasingly important. Whether competition or collaboration will dominate the Arctic future remains uncertain. For centuries, global trade has relied on predictable maritime corridors, routes like the Suez Canal, the Panama Canal, and the Strait of Malacca. But climate change is quietly redrawing the map. As Arctic ice retreats, new northern sea routes are emerging, potentially transforming global shipping. What was once an impassable frozen barrier may soon become one of the world's most valuable commercial highways. And once again, Greenland sits at the center of this transformation. The Northern Sea Route along Russia's coastline and the Northwest Passage through Canada's Arctic archipelago are gaining international attention. These routes can significantly shorten travel distances between Asia and Europe. In some cases, journeys may be reduced by thousands of kilometers. For shipping companies, time saved means fuel saved, and lower costs mean competitive advantage. Greenland's geographic position gives it strategic oversight of trans-Arctic movement. Located between North America and Europe, it stands near the entrance points of emerging Arctic corridors. Ports, refueling stations, search and rescue centers, and monitoring systems could all become part of its economic future. The island could evolve from remote territory into a logistical hub of the high north. However, Arctic shipping is not without challenges. Ice conditions remain unpredictable, even with warming temperatures. Harsh weather, limited infrastructure, and remote emergency services create operational risks. Insurance costs are high, and navigation requires specialized vessels such as icebreakers. The Arctic may offer opportunity, but it demands preparation and investment. Russia has heavily invested in Arctic infrastructure, including icebreaker fleets and port modernization, aiming to control and profit from northern shipping along its coast. By regulating transit and developing energy exports in the region, Moscow seeks both economic revenue and strategic leverage. Control of Arctic lanes could translate into influence over future global trade flows. The United States and its allies are closely monitoring these developments. Ensuring freedom of navigation, maintaining maritime safety, and preventing monopolization of Arctic routes have become strategic priorities. Greenland's proximity to North Atlantic sea lanes enhances its importance in securing open and balanced access to emerging corridors. China, as the world's largest trading nation, has also shown interest in Arctic shipping. It has described the concept of a polar Silk Road, linking Asia to Europe through northern waters.
Shorter trade routes could reshape supply chains and global logistics networks. Arctic shipping is no longer a regional issue, it is a global economic conversation. Environmental concerns remain central.
Increased vessel traffic raises the risk of oil spills, noise pollution, and disruption of fragile marine ecosystems. The Arctic's cold waters slow natural recovery processes, meaning accidents could have long-lasting consequences. Sustainable governance will be critical to preventing irreversible damage. For Greenland, expanded shipping presents economic possibilities, port development, maritime services, tourism, and infrastructure investment. Yet it also brings strategic pressure. Becoming a transit hub may attract global attention and global competition. Decisions about development will shape the island's economic independence and geopolitical alignment. Energy has always shaped global power. From coal to oil to natural gas, nations that control energy resources often influence the global balance. Today, Greenland stands at the edge of a new energy chapter. Beneath its ice and surrounding seabed lie untapped reserves that could play a role in future energy markets. As traditional energy dynamics shift, the Arctic is increasingly viewed not as a frozen wilderness, but as a strategic energy frontier. Oil and natural gas exploration around Greenland has attracted periodic international interest. Although large-scale extraction has not yet materialized, technological advances and changing market conditions could revive exploration efforts. In a world facing energy insecurity and geopolitical tension, even the possibility of new reserves commands attention. Energy independence remains a powerful motivator for major economies. At the same time, the global transition toward renewable energy has created a new kind of competition, the race for critical minerals. Rare earth elements, lithium, cobalt, and other strategic materials are essential for electric vehicles, wind turbines, batteries, and advanced electronics. Greenland's geological potential places it within this new strategic equation. The irony is striking. The same climate change that threatens Arctic ecosystems also makes mineral extraction more accessible. As ice retreats, exploration becomes easier. This creates a powerful tension between environmental responsibility and economic ambition. Greenland embodies this contradiction more than almost any other region on Earth. China currently dominates much of the global processing capacity for rare earth elements. This dominance has raised concerns in Western capitals about supply chain vulnerability. Securing alternative sources has become a strategic priority for the United States and Europe. Greenland's mineral deposits therefore represent not just economic opportunity, but geopolitical leverage. The European Union has also shown growing interest in Arctic resources as part of its broader energy security strategy. Diversifying supply away from unstable regions is a long-term objective. In this context, Greenland's proximity to European markets increases its strategic appeal. Arctic minerals may one day power Europe's green transition. However, resource extraction in the Arctic is expensive and environmentally sensitive. Infrastructure must be built in remote, icy conditions. Transportation costs are high, and global commodity prices fluctuate. Economic feasibility depends not only on geology, but also on market timing and political stability.
For Greenland, resource development could provide a path toward greater financial independence. Mining revenues might reduce reliance on external subsidies and strengthen domestic institutions. Yet heavy dependence on a single sector could also expose the economy to volatility. Strategic planning will determine whether resource wealth becomes a blessing or a burden.
Energy geopolitics is never isolated from military and diplomatic considerations. Investment agreements, trade partnerships, and infrastructure projects often carry strategic implications.
Greenland must navigate relationships carefully, ensuring that economic cooperation does not translate into political dependency.
Greenland's future is shaped not only by ice, minerals, and shipping lanes, but by diplomacy. In a region where multiple powers intersect, North America, Europe, Russia, and increasingly Asia, relationships matter as much as geography. Strategic partnerships, treaties, and multilateral agreements will determine who holds influence in the Arctic. Greenland is not just land, it is a fulcrum where global politics meets environmental and economic realities. The Arctic Council, established in 1996, serves as the primary forum for cooperation among Arctic nations. Greenland, as part of the Kingdom of Denmark, participates indirectly, giving its voice some influence in discussions on environmental protection, research, and resource management. While it cannot veto decisions, its position allows it to shape priorities and build alliances, a subtle but meaningful diplomatic leverage. Bilateral relations are equally important. The United States and Denmark maintain strong security and economic ties with Greenland, while China, through investment and infrastructure initiatives, seeks to expand its Arctic presence. Balancing these relationships is a complex task, as every agreement carries both opportunity and risk. Greenland must negotiate carefully to protect sovereignty while fostering development. Russia's Arctic ambitions also shape Greenlandic diplomacy. Moscow's expansion in northern bases and shipping infrastructure sends signals about influence and security. For Greenland, these moves mean it cannot consider global partnerships in isolation. Arctic diplomacy requires awareness of both Western and Eastern priorities, balancing collaboration and caution. Military alliances intersect with diplomacy. Greenland's strategic location links it directly to NATO's North Atlantic defense planning. Its geographic position allows early warning monitoring and rapid deployment capabilities. While these alliances provide security, they also attract attention from competitors, illustrating the double-edged nature of strategic alignment. Environmental diplomacy adds another layer. Climate change impacts require international cooperation. Greenland participates in scientific research and climate monitoring programs, forging partnerships that transcend traditional politics. Environmental engagement has become both a moral responsibility and a strategic tool to build credibility and influence globally. Trade and investment diplomacy are equally critical. Agreements on resource extraction, shipping infrastructure, and tourism development provide economic opportunity, but also expose Greenland to external pressure. Decisions must consider not just immediate gain, but long-term sovereignty and sustainability. Greenland's domestic politics intersect with diplomacy. Indigenous leadership, local governance, and public opinion influence how international agreements are received. A diplomatic success abroad can fail at home if it ignores cultural values or environmental concerns.
Effective diplomacy requires aligning global strategy with local legitimacy. The Arctic's strategic future is uncertain. Conflicts over shipping lanes, resource claims, or military presence could arise if governance is not carefully maintained.
Greenland's ability to navigate international law, multilateral agreements, and bilateral negotiations will shape whether the Arctic becomes a zone of cooperation or confrontation. Greenland is not only a land of ice, minerals, and strategic geography, it is increasingly a frontier of scientific discovery.
Its unique environment provides a living laboratory for climate research, glaciology, and Arctic ecology.
International scientists flock to the island to study ice cores, ocean currents, and atmospheric patterns.
What happens here informs global understanding of climate change, natural systems, and even space weather.
Greenland's frozen landscape is therefore a hub of knowledge, connecting local communities with the world's most advanced research networks. Satellite monitoring and remote sensing technologies are transforming how Greenland is studied and managed.
From tracking ice melt to mapping mineral deposits, these tools give scientists and policymakers precise data.
The information gathered has implications far beyond the island, influencing sea level projections, global shipping routes, and energy planning. Greenland's geography makes it a vantage point for observing phenomena that few other locations can provide, making it an essential node in global scientific infrastructure. The island also plays a role in space research. The clear skies, remote location, and minimal electromagnetic interference make Greenland ideal for ground-based satellite tracking and deep space observation. Military and civilian programs alike benefit from this unique position, enabling everything from missile defense monitoring to climate satellite calibration. Technology and science converge here, giving Greenland strategic importance beyond its natural resources.
Innovation in Arctic infrastructure is another growing focus.
Ice-resistant buildings, autonomous monitoring drones, and renewable energy systems are being tested in Greenland's harsh conditions. These technologies not only make life on the island safer and more sustainable, but also provide lessons for other extreme environments worldwide.
Greenland is becoming a testbed for human ingenuity in the face of climate challenges.
Renewable energy research is particularly significant. With strong wind currents, hydro potential, and opportunities for solar energy during long summer days, Greenland experiments with energy systems that could power both local communities and future industrial development. These projects provide models for sustainable resource management in fragile ecosystems, offering both economic and environmental benefits.
Digital connectivity is another frontier. Remote communities are increasingly linked via satellite internet, enabling education, research collaboration, and telemedicine.
Improved communication transforms Greenland from an isolated outpost into a globally connected node. Technology empowers not only scientists and governments, but also local populations seeking to balance development with traditional lifestyles.
Scientific collaboration often intersects with diplomacy.
By hosting international research teams and participating in multinational projects, Greenland builds soft power. These networks create influence without formal military or economic control.
Knowledge sharing fosters goodwill and positions the island as a central player in Arctic science and policy. Innovation also supports environmental protection.
Monitoring ice melt, wildlife migration, and ocean chemistry enables proactive conservation. Technologies like autonomous sensors and AI-driven modeling improve the accuracy of predictions, giving policymakers and communities the tools to respond to climate threats.
Greenland's research initiatives thus serve both strategic and ecological purposes. Economic potential emerges from these innovations as well.
Scientific tourism, high-tech research facilities, and renewable energy projects attract investment, skilled professionals, and international attention.
Greenland can leverage its technological and scientific assets to diversify its economy, reducing dependence on external subsidies and traditional extractive industries. Ultimately, Greenland is transforming from a frozen periphery into a center of Arctic innovation. Technology and research provide the island with influence, sustainability, and opportunity. Its unique environment has made it both a laboratory and a strategic hub. In the 21st century, knowledge is power, and Greenland is becoming a place where power, science, and the future converge.